Another episode of The Hard Naked Truth. We're really starting to step it up a notch in relation to the professional side of this podcast, so it's great to see. Hard Naked Truth, where we talk about all things business, property finance, tax, accounting, and everything in between. So we're mixing it up a little bit today, where we've got I've got two beautiful guests in the podcast studio, so I'm pretty fortunate. I'm not sure, once we start talking about the topic, I'm not sure whether I'm really should be actually saying those words, if I'm allowed to or not to. It's quite interesting. So we're gonna jump into a topic that I'm fairly passionate about, in women in business and industry and in life, and I guess the barriers they face and the challenges they face and still, I believe, face even to this day. There have been a lot of changes, but I still think we're a long way off it. But welcome, Catherine Schutz and Maureen Gabriel.
Hello.
Hey.
Thanks, Michael.
Cheers. We've actually got margarita and I think vodka and lemonade to start off today. So cut a bit of nerves and cut through the chase. So tell me, by me saying I've got two beautiful girls, and is that a bad thing, or is that a compliment?
From you, it's a compliment.
Okay.
From others, it could be seen a different way.
Yeah, and
I think it's how it's said. Like, if someone is beautiful, it's fine to acknowledge that, but it just depends how and in what context.
Yeah. And to kick things off, let's talk about, and I'm going to change things up all through this, but one of the big topics here, I guess, is which is still very prevalent. And I was just walking in then and looking up the statistics, but there's the gender pay gap. It's still 14% or 13.8% in Australia. That almost shocked me when I walked in. Like, what's your thoughts in relation to that? And what experience have you had to date in terms of your careers in facing that?
Do you want me to answer?
You go first.
I think a lot of that is because of how women are naturally. I think men are more inclined to ask for what they want and be more assertive when it comes to that. A lot of females tend to not speak up or not ask, or they sort of devalue what their ability is. So a lot of it comes from confidence, where men tend to be more confident and say if they want a pay rise, will go in and ask for it, whereas women will sort of be more accommodating and wait a lot of the time. So I think it's a matter of speaking up. Sorry. You told me to talk into them.
See, I personally feel like leadership, when you're in a business, it should be equal, considering the skill set that a person has. It should be about the mentorship. And, women do ask in a way that, like Maureen said, they may not be very upfront with it as to, I want a pay rise. This is what I've been doing to get, I'm doing the same job as a man.
Do you think that's in their makeup? That's the reason? Yeah.
Where we feel a bit more vulnerability, I guess, in regards to the way we want to approach things.
They, and one thing is, there's obviously people talk about glass ceilings and things like that. And I've had a lot of female bosses, and they've been amazing. And I think, females and males bring different traits to roles and stuff. And, I've always been big on that the right person at the right time and the right seat should get the job, whether it's male or female.
Yeah.
I know there's glass ceilings still there. There's one thing I don't necessarily agree with that have mandated, is things like requiring 50% of boards on the ASX to have females, or diversity and stuff like that. And that my personal opinion is it should always be the right person for the role and the job. But I understand why they've put it in place, because of the challenges that females had in breaking through that glass ceiling and actually getting those board roles. But
that's all in the name of inclusivity. But I think that is the wrong approach, and it's almost degrading.
Yes,
that becomes a box ticking exercise.
It does. I've got to put a female on there, because it's I've got to find a token female to be on my board.
It then takes away the merits of people's ability, and it also makes the best person for the job lose that because someone's trying to meet a criteria that is forced on them.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that either. I think it's silly.
That is where a lot of businesses also start to fail, when it's just you have to put that equality when they don't have the right skill set to do it at the moment. Like, mentorships and all that should be to grow. That should be how you get that stepping stone to move up.
Yeah, definitely.
I think a good example is that American airline recently that was all females and they called it unmanned, and didn't the plane fall out of the sky? Didn't it crash?
Yeah,
you can look.
American Airlines.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm flying
unmanned.
them at Christmas time to go to
Well, good luck.
from LA to New York. So
yeah, I just think to do it just for the point of it, to prove a point, is defeats the purpose.
Yeah, I agree.
It's where your skills need to apply. Like your, the way you progress and the way you move up in a position shouldn't be just because you're a female or just because you're a male. It should be your skill set.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Yeah.
Right person, right time, right role. Yeah. So tell me, what's your experience been in relation to the first time, I guess, in business men meet you, and what you feel that they think about? Are they because you're both, as I said at the start, you're both stunningly beautiful ladies, and is it that you think that they're talking to you or dealing with you because of your looks or your brains?
I've had comments said to me when I've met people, "You're just a pretty face. That's how you've gotten a job." They don't know my background. They don't know what I've done. They don't know how much education I've done, what experience I've had. That is my first ever experience. You need to show them. Like, women have to work harder in the industries that we're in to show them our education, what we're capable of doing. It's not as easy as, I understand why you've been chosen for this position. You get judged on the way you look, the way you speak. We also need to articulate more, I feel like, as women in the industries that we do, so that we don't have that judgment. And it's a lot more harder for us to be commended for the work we do.
Yeah. So I mean, sorry, Maureen, before we jump. So tell me, both while you're talking about qualifications and experience, why don't you give me, the listeners, a rundown on, so we can give some color behind you both.
Would you like to go first?
You should go first.
So I have a degree in criminology and justice, as well as international finance and economics.
Amazing. Yeah.
And I have a Bachelor of Laws, a graduate diploma in legal practice. I have my master's in law. I have a master's in digital currents and computer science. I have a advanced, just above a master's in global law policy and regulation and emerging tech. I have a chartered professional finance license against financial crimes. I have an investigative license globally. I have an advanced investigative license. I have a advanced diploma in applied blockchain. I have a few other things that I'm missing out, but I have a significant amount.
Where do you find a wall big enough to put all those certificates and stuff? So, and you've studied across the globe, I believe, haven't you? Yeah. Pretty impressive. But both of you, like, just yeah. And I bet from where I was saying before, first impression wouldn't be that would be the case.
I think that a lot of the times women have to work twice as hard to be half as recognized. And depending on what you do for work and what sort of position you're in, a lot of the times your merits are taken from you. So if you do, like, from a legal perspective, when I did do law, if I won a case, it would always be like anything I did that was good, it would always be because, you only got that because you look like that, or they would always take from your merits. It could never be just because you're good.
That's just so bad. Yeah.
And then, of course, it depends how you want to look at it, because every time I ever walked into a room, they always underestimated me or didn't take me seriously. That gave me the edge because I really enjoyed beating them, because they just didn't see it coming.
Do you reckon that, and take this the right way, is it fair though that women dress or can dress in a certain way to put people off?
I have always been very conscious of how I dress. I'm in a much more traditional field, but it's also because I'm more of a conservative person. I've always dressed conservatively only because people will talk about you, and I don't want to necessarily ever give anyone an opportunity to talk about it.
Yep.
But I have seen other people in, industries where dress a certain way. I only don't, because I always want to be taken seriously, and I never want to give them an opportunity to speak like that.
Yep.
But at the same time, it shouldn't necessarily matter. But I do believe personally that females immediately undermine themselves if they dress provocatively in a professional setting, because then it's like you want people to take you seriously, take yourself seriously. There's always that line. If you're a beautiful woman, you're still going to look beautiful. But what do you think, Catherine?
If you are a well-dressed woman, you're always going to get criticized in any industry like this.
Yeah.
I feel people look at you. The first thing that comes into any mind, especially men, I'm going to call this out, is when you look beautiful, they will call it out, or they will start saying certain things about you.
Yeah.
The industries we work in have been very black and white. You're supposed to wear suited up dresses. Now it's 2025. It's changed the stigma. We've got women in all sorts of industries that you can dress, you're not just in your plain blazers and your long pants. You can dress in nice, unprovocative clothing, but you'll still be classified as certain, comments will be made to you.
Yeah. They're going to say it regardless. Whether someone likes you or hates you will never have anything to do with you.
Yeah. Do you think that's because there's still a significant amount of male chauvinist pigs and males that have got sexism issues and stuff?
I think on that topic, that topic in particular, you will be criticized from both sides.
Yep.
Like the men will be pigs and the women will comment as well. Sometimes the women are worse.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's pigs and bitches.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Lots of girls and stuff like to call each other babes, babe this, babe that, and stuff. Which seems okay from a female to female perspective. But like, have you faced where you're at meetings or social circumstances where guys that you may have only just met or I don't know, that are calling you babe, darling, and how do you feel about that?
Certainly, but that's where you correct it these days. You are not their babe, their honey, your friend. You're not friends. That is a potential work environment that you're in. So they should not be calling you that at all. That is just degrading as a woman to be called that in a business meeting setting.
Yep.
That should not even be a comment that should come out of your mouth when you're dealing with professionals.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Even women, I'm going to say this as well. Women should not be going darling or, handsome, things like that. In a professional setting, you should not be.
Well, it should go both ways, shouldn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I always think it's based circumstantial, like on the environment you're in. Obviously, in a professional setting, I think in some industries, it can always be a little different as well. You have to always navigate certain personalities. I don't think that it's appropriate.
Yeah.
But how you respond is even more important. Like you can't, if someone on the street said that to you, you could respond in a certain way. But if you're in a professional setting and depending on what industry you're in, the most important thing is learning how to navigate different personalities, because there's nothing worse than a bruised male ego. Yeah. So if you want to call someone out, it's just important to know how to respond properly to get your message across, but still be respectful and still not cause bigger issues, because other times people, especially when you're dealing with much older people, men, they may not mean it in a manner that is, degrading.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes this day and age, people also go overboard in their reaction and everything offends everyone. So I think it's a fine line, learning how to navigate different personalities and what environment you're in and under which circumstances you're responding to.
Yeah. Do you find it is, you're talking about older, like, because I know I see it, I've just recently turned 50. I certainly don't do it, but it's probably from, plus 50 on, maybe plus 55, that generation grew up where it was almost right to use that terminology. Yeah. And when you're talking about bruised egos, you definitely, you don't want to bruise a male ego, because what they'll obviously females can come back at you 10 times worse. But but do you see it's an age thing? Because I know I was in a CFO role, and we had a our group legal counsel who's passed away now. I had to deal with a HR matter, and there's a female that he was, well, a couple of, no, not just one, several, that he would, if they were standing there, he'd touch them, on their, pat them on the back or in other parts. And I sat him down, spoke to him about it, and he was in his 60s at the time. And he goes, Michael, they know that I don't mean anything by it because of my age and everything, and I'm ugly and stuff. Oh, no, it's not. I said that. I actually said that to him. And then I go, A, it's not an excuse, and B, you can't fucking do that in this time and age. Like they might. He goes, I used to do it all the time when I was younger and in the law firm. And I go, yeah, those the sorts of shit used to happen, but and it wasn't right. But we live in a different age.
And so that was one of the hardest things for me personally when I was especially younger in my law career. One of the most challenging things that I dealt with was really knowing how to actually respond to certain situations, because a lot of the times people that aren't in that industry or haven't been in that position, they don't understand how damaging a reaction can be and what you're faced with on the other side. I dealt with a lot of very powerful men, especially powerful legal people like Silks, Queen's Bench. And
they think they're powerful.
Well, they also think they're above the law. And unfortunately, they get a lot away with a lot of things. But the other thing is, when they're at that level, they have power in the industry. So if you go up against the wrong person, that person can literally destroy your career.
Well, that's like the saying, it's sometimes who you know. So it does affect a lot of women. And I think going to that question is, we do hide a lot or keep a lot to ourselves because we don't want to cause any issues for ourselves. Not because we don't want to speak out. We just don't want to
the repercussions
of it coming back to us, and then us being labeled as a troublemaker or as, someone who wants to be dramatic or drama. Like that's what
and
they
then
will
just
say.
stunts your opportunities.
And then it makes it difficult to get jobs after that, especially if you're in an industry where everyone knows everyone, and especially if that person is very prominent and a lot of people use their services, like I'm talking about a barrister or something. And if they won't work with you or they tarnish your reputation, it can be career over.
And let's be real, there still exists boys clubs
absolutely
everywhere, and so and they talk, and they, whether it's within the business or the industry and stuff, I see it all the time still. Like it's be kidding myself and lying if I didn't.
And certain industries have it more than others. So a lot of these industries where as a society we may have come a long way, but it doesn't change which industries are still predominantly men and still have that boys club. So you're looking at the traditional industries, finance, banking, law, all of that, you will still see where there's majority men that they still have that boys club.
But look, that boys club will always exist. I don't think it will ever go away. I think it's how the boys club treat women in their industries. Like I've got the most supportive team, the most supportive bosses who want to encourage me to do better and be better. And some other industries I know, they're all boys club, but they want to see you grow. They want to help you once they get to know you and understand what your capability is and what your skill sets are. Until they know that, because, we get judged walking in, you look at a pretty girl and you're like, oh yeah, she probably doesn't know what she's talking about, probably new in the industry. Not many people know how long we've been in like our industries for and the education that we've had and the jobs that we've done. So, we are more observers first and then we provide our answers after that.
Do you think that's fair?
No.
I think it also doesn't matter. So I kind of agree with what you're saying, but I think that sometimes it doesn't matter. And the thing is, when you have industries that, like I've been in a few different industries now. So I think that what happens is people are a product of their environment, and a lot of people underestimate the profound impact that different institutional groups can have on even good people. So you can take a good person and mix them in an environment where the culture is piggish and it's a boys club, especially when the boys are all together and they're on the piss. Even if they're individually good people, when you mix them with that and you breed that culture, it's that culture that essentially creates this and it makes them think it's all right. So I've been at events where I have been speaking as an expert, and when anything is too technical, I get the job and they come to me and I've been training them. And afterwards I'm at an event with all these people and I'm wearing a name tag, and you know, the boys are all together and they were like, oh, no one's looking at your name tag, like talking about, do you know what? And still made comments. And I think that it doesn't matter how good you are or how like, you know, good you are at what you do. Boys will be boys, and a lot of the times it is really a matter of that culture bred in that environment that they're in.
Do you think that's like, it's the pack mentality? It's a bit like rugby league players who play up all the time. Once the boys get together, they can't help themselves.
It's locker room talk. But they take it outside.
Yeah, because I know you got a Queensland State of Origin jersey, and you'll be commiserating tomorrow. But having myself been born in New South Wales, but
I'm just gonna say, tomorrow or when this podcast comes out, I hope to God you'll mention that Queensland win.
Yeah. So it's hard to beat the Queensland spirit. So you answer this. Either of you answer this or both separately. What's the worst, and if you choose to and you pass, what's the worst thing you've either personally experienced or you've seen that's happened and has been no outcome or result, or there has been an outcome or result from males versus females in the workplace?
That's a big question. And that I don't even know how I would answer that. I think if we were to speak generically, I think a lot of the times females may experience something and they, even if everyone knows it's true, they're basically dismissed for it, and they then have to live with a trauma of like injustice and betrayal. For me personally, I could tell you so many stories. Not on the worst end, but you know, pivotal moments that have impacted my entire career that could have changed everything. Like for example, a story, my very first big matter that I did, and I was working on a legal matter, and you know, the barrister, the lawyers, the solicitor, the client, all men. When we went outside and we were deliberating, the client asked me for my opinion, and when I went to speak, the barrister put his hand in my face and said, "The men are speaking." And I just remember in that moment being my first...
I was losing my breath.
Yeah, it stopped me from speaking. And that being my very first interaction with a big case, I remember being so taken back that I lost I was basically in shock. The client that I had worked with, who was a very powerful man, said, "Excuse me, I asked her what she thought and I want to hear what she says." Had he not reacted like that, that would have potentially changed everything for me as a person, because like I said, I lost my voice and I was so taken back, and I was almost embarrassed that I was going to give my opinion. But in that moment, the client, who was also a man, so they're both men in this situation, empowered me to feel safe and okay. But that was the kind of stuff that you would deal with, like you were less than, your opinion didn't matter. And yeah, like I have so many stories of situations that are so sad to hear, because you would love to think that this stuff doesn't happen this day and age anymore, but it does, and it should be spoken about. Like all of the nights or all the times that I was put in positions where I felt uncomfortable and I shouldn't have, like made to stay back and work late on a matter, and it's just one-on-one with someone, and you're having to work into the night, and they're like, "Oh, let's go get some dinner." All of those little things. And what you discover is for me, I had to make a decision, and we are all products of our environment. I had to be strong enough to be like, no, I had to become a very staunch person and essentially act like a bitch even when I wasn't, to like assert my dominance and show people that they couldn't F with me. I won't swear on the show, but it was something that I had to become, because I would see other women and they would get walked all over, and I had to make a decision like, no, you can't disrespect me, and I won't allow disrespect. And again, that came back to always having to navigate different personalities and characters, because although I would not accept disrespect, there were always times where you're put in positions where you sometimes have to allow more than what you would normally allow to get through a situation, but it's not right that you have to face it.
Yeah, it's not.
But I had to become
You've got to find that strength, which is, but you know, I will swear because it's my show, but fucking kudos to that guy who did empower you, and that's exactly what we need, and we need
more men like that.
more, but all men doing that. So,
but they're the people that change the world, because there's two types of evil in this world: those that do evil and those that see evil being done and do nothing.
So I'm gonna chime in on this. Look, I was one of those women that got walked all over in my younger years. I had a manager who basically had a night out. It was a weekend. I got a message from that manager saying, I can't stop thinking about you. I can't stop thinking about banging you on our workbench. I reported it to their manager. Within 2 weeks, that manager got promoted. Yeah. The manager their manager got promoted to one of the biggest.
On the back end of a guy wanting to
nothing was
bang
done.
you on the,
nothing was done. I had messages that I showed the manager. Nothing was done. From that day, that day made me feel like I could never, ever say anything because it was a male figure that said that.
Was more important than you.
Yeah. Now, if that doesn't get done, I'll take actions into my own hands and actually, find someone that will listen.
Yeah.
And actually support what was said with evidence. It wasn't made up.
But they don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've had times when I've come into a workplace and the director the second in charge has said to me, how good are you at keeping your mouth shut? Because you could make it really far in this company.
Really?
Yeah. And I've got it in writing and everything. And again, it was part of a franchise. And when they found out that he was saying such inappropriate things to me, and the damage it could cause, they dismissed me. So, you feel
like
such
complete
a
unfair
sense,
dismissal.
and it's and when I went to say something to the Law Society, wanting to do something about it because it wasn't right, and you feel like such betrayal and injustice, they said to me, "We can take it on. You've got clear evidence, but just know it could potentially destroy your career. Are you willing to do that over this?" Because it will
so there's lack
make
of
it
support
hard.
even there. Yeah.
They were, and that is so sad. And from that, even though I consider myself lucky because it's on the lower end of, what could have happened to you and what other people deal with, I've made it empower me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but some people go through sexual assault in a workplace, and then they're not believed.
But it shouldn't happen at all, is what I'm saying. Yeah, but I know there's a low and a high end, and there's obviously worse cases, but it shouldn't be happening full stop.
Look, a lot of our stuff was now we are seeing changes, but it's still not enough.
No, it's not. It's still not close enough.
Yeah.
So talking about messages and stuff. So people, I guess, sliding into your DMs. I know we've chatted about that sort of stuff before. I'm still hanging out for 30 years and no one's slid into my DMs, and it's not just, there's social media, Instagram, Facebook and all that sort of stuff. It's, do you experience it like on LinkedIn, which is supposed to be a fucking professional platform, but I've heard that there's guys sliding into DMs on LinkedIn and obviously on the other ones as well. How far has that gone with either of you two?
So LinkedIn,
yeah,
I feel like some people take it as the new dating app.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It's primarily about creating partnerships and networking to uplift your businesses and to create your network across the border, across the states. Sometimes you do get messages on there. A lot of times from people. I'll give you an example. I had a request. I did all my mapping on it to make sure that person was legitimate. Did a meeting with that person because they said that they wanted to have a working opportunity to network and to get more business. I went to the meeting. It lasted 5 minutes. The question was asked, "Can I touch you?"
Can I touch you?
Can I touch you?
And then I touch
started taking photos of me.
Yeah.
And while I said no, I had to get a bystander to actually take his phone and tell him to unlock his phone, to delete it, and then to delete it out of his inboxes. And then he just walked off like there was no tomorrow. You have people asking you for can we go grab a drink instead of a network professional? Hey, can we catch up in our office, or can we do a coffee catch up?
Which should
There's
be the
predators
normal.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Predators everywhere.
It doesn't matter where it is at the moment. Social media does provide that with people. You just have to make sure that you profile them. You make sure it's a safety thing as well at the moment. So it's not just LinkedIn, it's all types of social media that you do get it still.
So you think I should update my profile photos or something?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, just chuck on a bit of a wig and hair. And
Perfect.
let's see.
A pair of big boots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Catherine, you're a ambitious mother, got a couple of daughters. How do you juggle and manage it?
You know, it's taken me a long time to manage work-life balance. I have missed out on a lot of, you know, sporting events, networking events, but I do have such understanding, you know, bosses now. I didn't used to. I used to work from 7 a.m. till, you know, 8 to 9 p.m. trying to get things done. I've learnt a lot that work is work, home is home. You need to switch off.
Yeah.
When you're at home, you need to be present with your kids. You need to attend those, you know, sporting events. You need to read those books, because at the end of the day, they're getting older. There's a lot of technology. Sometimes I'm seeing my daughter, she'd rather be on her iPad, and it's because, you know, it's all technology based now.
Yeah.
That even at school, that's what they're learning.
And that's a challenge though, isn't it? Because like, you know, obviously my kids are older now, but the challenge has always been is what's the balance with technology and children and stuff. And you know, when I grew up in New South Wales a long time ago, you know, as soon as we get home from school, we had daylight savings and we didn't have devices, and we'd be straight out the door until our
Playing
parents
games,
are calling us at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night because it's still light outside, playing games. And you know but the balance is they need technology. We're moving faster and faster to a world in relation to AI is so powerful, and you got to, you know, we've always had to keep up with technology, but it's even more prevalent now.
But they're also getting educated on AI. Like what we learned at school, they're learning something totally different. Like my daughter is creating a robot made of AI right now.
Wow.
She's in year 5. I've got to learn that off her.
Yeah.
I've got to help her do it. And, you know, having 3 girls, that's why I want to set a standard now so she doesn't have to later to have this issue when she's in any industry, in any work, finance, law, whatever she decides to do. I don't want that stigma put on her. That's why we need to try to break it now.
Yeah, we do. We do 100% do. And the more we talk about it, get it out in the open like we are today, I think it's fantastic. So thanks, Catherine and Maureen, for joining me today. It's been absolutely awesome. I think we got a fair bit out on the table there, and didn't get too deep and dark.
Thanks, Michael.
So are we going to ask Michael some questions?
Oh, is that what we're doing now?
Yes,
Oh,
we
yeah?
are.
He's like,
Hang on. As I said before, this is my show.
Around on you today.
Yeah.
He's like, hang on.
So, Michael,
Help. Is Kylie listening?
No cut. So we see you've got multiple women in your office. Tell us about how you're supporting women in your office or anywhere.
How am I supporting women? As I said before, I've always encouraged to ensure that the right person's in the right role. So we're always identifying that. You know, obviously at the top end, we do have it's very male dominated, but we've got programs in place where we're ensuring you know, not just the females, but the team has the opportunity to come through and advance. And, you know, some of that stuff ranges from we've got a full group employee share plan in place where the team members have an opportunity to have equity in our group. And the view is that over time that they will succeed myself and Rod. And then I can't wait till that happens. But no, but
so you're creating business.
Yeah, then we've got, say, Sarah, who's been with us for a couple of years now in our team. She's still quite young, but advancing at a very rapid rate. And, you know, and I met with her at her performance review and talked to her about how I see her as such an integral part of our group going forward, and that we want to mentor her in relation to her advancement, you know, and I talked about retention. I didn't want to lose her. And I saw her as, you know, part of the future of the group. So, you know, we're definitely identifying that. We, you know, as we get more and more numbers, I think we can probably build more defined pathways for especially females in relation to business.
I just want to say something on that. Despite this whole topic being coming across as males, what they do wrong and stuff like that, and stigmas, I think that it's really important for me personally to add that despite all of those negative experiences during my career, it's also really important to mention that some of the people that gave me the biggest shot in my career were also men.
Yeah.
Very good men. Some of my biggest mentors and people that have impacted my life the most have been men. That client I mentioned was a man. He changed that moment for me. People that saw, a lot of value in me and believed in me were men. People that mentored me. So there are a lot of good men out there. It might be far and few in between compared to what the wrongdoing are, but those people have contributed to my life significantly. And had it not been for them believing in me and giving me a shot when no one else would, I wouldn't be here. So I also owe a lot to the good men out there who have changed my life and changed my trajectory and helped me in pivotal moments of my life.
Yeah.
I genuinely feel the same.
Yeah.
Right now, the men that I work for, they give me the strength and courage. If I'm having a bad day, they see it and they always try to help. If there's something that's bothering me, it's a communication that just we talk about it and then we get it off the table. If there's something that they will help me out with, we work with a lot of great men. It's just sometimes, you walk into places that they don't know you. That's why they've got to get to know you. And I feel like the strength of that, if we just learn to, voice our opinions in a more, I don't know how you can say it, like a more
dominant way.
No, not dominant, but
assertive.
Just assertive and direct way that they will get it as well. But like I genuinely can say in the last few years, it has rapidly changed as to the mentorships you get. They acknowledge it. They want to support it. By celebrating women in finance, women in business, they're the ones that come to these events with us.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to mention, like, a question that I get asked a lot if I'm speaking at events or like trying to empower women or speaking as an expert somewhere. People will always ask me, you're one of the very few women in your field. How does that feel? As though it's like a big concern. And I always say to them, I come from traditional law where the areas of law I was one of the few women. And I think there's a big difference because being now in tech and, emerging tech, coming from law was, predominantly men and tech is predominantly men. But the difference is law was dominated by men and tech is predominantly, you do not get dominated by the men in that industry. So it comes back down to the culture and how these people operate in those cultures is a significant difference. I don't get overshadowed in this industry for being a female just because there's more men in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the big things that's really resonating me is having the right culture. So
culture is so important.
Getting back to what you asked, we're really I put a massive emphasis on culture, and we're fortunate to have quite a sticky team in terms of retention in relation to that. And I think it's because of the great culture we've created. And the other big thing is being that you talked about, Catherine and Maureen, is being supportive and supportive obviously of everyone, but supportive of men and female have different issues and different things going on often, and realizing that and being there, and and it's not all about business and work and money all the time, that there's other competing issues going on with people that you have to ensure that you are compassionate and have empathy around that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Do you have a question?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Michael.
That was awesome.
Thanks. What do we do now?